economist, and people are very worried about the US economy. They're very worried about with what is going on, and clearly what is looks to be obviously the development of a multipolar world and the rise of BRICS and nations getting together, and they're no longer trusting the US and the dollar. And you've got even Saudi Arabia who's now saying, I don't know. It just seems like it's a matter of time before Saudi Arabia says, and I believe they've already said, we're willing to trade oil in not just dollars anymore.
They're
We're
already
willing to
doing
look at
that.
some other currencies. Yeah. So where does this, my viewpoint of it is, and you just tell me if this is accurate or not, but I think that as the rise of the multipolar world happens, as the dollar loses its hegemony, we're going to feel some pain here in the United States. We're going to have some economic pain. And but do you see that same pain? And if we do go through that pain, what would that look like here, and how long will it last, do you think?
Well, it's a long story, but and with a lot of uncertainty. But basically, the U.S. dollar has been the key currency for the world for how you denominate contracts. So let's say you're buying oil or you're buying grain or some other good in international trade, how you denominate, how you make the payments, how you settle the contracts. That means using banking systems that are part of this dollar system, and that means U.S. banks in their multinational side. So the dollar is at the core of an enormous proportion of international transactions, both for trade and for financial settlements of various kinds. And that's fine. It's been fairly efficient. Uh, it gives the U.S. a privilege because the U.S. Borrows, of course, in our own currency, in the dollar, because so many others do as well. We can print a lot of dollars without immediate consequences that other countries would face of a collapse of the currency and so forth. So we have what Charles de Gaulle called back in the 1960s an exorbitant privilege. It's a real privilege that the dollar is used in this way. But the U.S. Started to say already 20 years ago, but now almost nonstop in the last 10 years. Oh, the dollar, that's at the center of everything. We can use this geopolitically. We can weaponize the dollar. We can confiscate the foreign reserves of other countries. Now, that's different. That's not just saying use the dollar and others will hold dollars and we can issue dollars in a less inflationary way than others. This is saying we can take your dollars. And the United States government has taken the dollars of a number of governments. Well, they froze $300 billion of Russia's financial assets. And then we have some people saying, yeah, and just take that, use it to rebuild Ukraine. That's our money now. Oh my God, that's pretty weird. We said, and this was a kind of flight of bizarre fancy under the Trump administration, they declared one day, oh, Nicolas Maduro is no longer president of Venezuela. The real president is the one we choose, Juan Guaido, who was a member of the National Assembly. Boy, that's a head scratcher. Nicolas Maduro is the president of the country. The United States, one day the White House said, no, it's somebody else. And they confiscated Venezuela's reserves and gave it to this other guy, as if you can decide in the White House who's the president of another country. And they got a lot of countries to go along with it because they're kind of pathetically following the US or dependent on the US or scared of the US. And then the US, on the way out of Afghanistan, froze and took the foreign reserves of Afghanistan. Not a lot of reserves because that's an impoverished country. Even after 20 years of US occupation, we left that place in a disaster. But on the way out, we kicked them once more by confiscating the foreign exchange reserves so there couldn't be a functioning banking system. This goes on and on. Well, the BRICS basically, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the original five, said, come on, let's use our own currencies for settlements. And that's what they're working on now. They've already started a lot of settlements in renminbi. different mechanisms for settling Russian-Indian trade. And now they've added 6 more countries to the BRICS, to the original 5: Argentina, Ethiopia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Iran. And the whole idea right now for the BRICS, they're meeting. I know the technical teams are working. They're saying, we don't need to use the dollar. We can settle in other ways. And they're absolutely right. I can tell you as a monetary economist, you don't have to go through a US bank to trade between Russia and China. You don't have to go through a US bank to trade between Brazil and China. That's just been a convenient way to do things, but you don't have to do things that way, and they're not going to do things that way. So we're going to very quickly lose a privilege that probably would have faded out over many decades, because as other countries rise in importance, they would use their currency. But we're going to do it in a few years by an own goal. This is our own doing. If you want people to use dollars, treat it as a currency, not as a foreign policy weapon.
Yeah. So what does this mean for us Americans? Are we going to suffer?
Well, we're suffering to the extent that we are in war, that we are undermining international trade, that we are breaking supply chains because they think that this is clever or safer for the US. And what it's doing is diminishing the economic potential of the whole world. We think we're weakening China this way, but we're weakening ourselves by the way we're doing a terrible disservice to Europe, which is really in a crisis already. And for all of us, it definitely raises many, many problems that didn't have to exist. It's a little hard to say how and when this will manifest exactly, but the US room for maneuver in crises will definitely be diminished. The privileges of having other countries use the currency will definitely be diminished. And we have massive debt in the United States as a share of our gross domestic product, massive. And it rose tremendously, basically since the year 2000, because we fought a lot of very expensive wars in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and all these secret, not so secret wars, trillions of dollars wasted for nothing. And because we have 2 political parties who represent the plutocratic class, just sometimes different people in them or different companies or different sectors, but both parties live off of the campaign finance and the lobbying spending of big lobbies. And so they've cut taxes. Corporate income taxes has been so deeply diminished that we have large chronic deficits. And, you know, these shutdowns, partly theatrics, partly real drama, but nobody wants to tax the rich people or tax the corporations. So the debt is soaring. We keep spending a lot of money and we don't pay our way, and we don't ask rich people and big corporations to pay anything, basically. And so this is where we are. You know, they pay something, I should be precise, but in a world of such massive wealth, oh my God, it's essentially a free ride. And this is why the US is being weakened, because you can't build a public debt that is now over 100% of GDP and on a steadily upward trajectory and think that's all fine, no problem. And with a diminished role of the dollar and rising interest rates and so many problems, you have to take seriously what you're doing. Pay for what you pay through taxes for what you're going to spend on. Stop wasting money on these useless, destructive wars like Ukraine. I don't think we should spend any more on Ukraine. We should have the peace deal that was always there to be had. The terms have gotten worse because Russia's won on the battlefield, but we should end this war through negotiation, not through another 24 billion and then another 24 billion and how many more Ukrainians killed, and get serious about what we need to spend on and get our budget under control also.
All right, let me tell you guys also about Lean, which is a really great new product from Brickhouse Nutrition. And you know Brickhouse because I talk about their other product a lot called Field of Greens, which I love, which is that powder of organic fruits and vegetables that you mix into your ice water and you end up with all of your fruits and vegetable servings for the day with more energy. Just you'll live a better life when you're getting all the nutrients you're supposed to. Well, they have a new great product out there called Lean, which is probably what you expect. It is a weight loss product that'll help you on your weight loss journey. It's all natural, so you don't have to be afraid of it. I don't like weight loss products personally, but I've been taking Lean and I really do like it. It does help curb cravings. It does the three big trifecta things you need to lose weight, which is curb cravings and appetite. It also then metabolizes fat, so it uses your body's fat and turns it into energy, which is what you want, right? You want to get rid of the fat. And three, what it does is it lowers your blood sugar, which is also really, really incredibly important when it comes to weight loss. So it's a really great product. I've been trying it. They say try it out for 3 weeks before you really start to see the effects. And I'm on week 1. So I will let you guys know how it goes in another couple of weeks if I start seeing the pounds come off from my pandemic weight that I gained. I'm trying to lose some of the pandemic weight. And so far, so good with this product. So I don't feel the jitters or anything like that using it. Visit fieldofgreens.com and use promo code Kim. That is promo code Kim at fieldofgreens.com. And you will get 15% off your order. So just shop away, put stuff in your cart, and get that 15% off and try those products. You'll like them. I love them. So I really think you will as well.